let's make character number 2 now. All right, we got some water, got a rest. I did want to point out that unfortunately, while it's not form fillable, if you wanted to use the alternate character sheets that you have seen me use now for the past 3 weeks or so, there's a link for them. It's not form fillable, but if you want to be thematic, especially to what we're doing here, this is the inky version, right? Look, it has tentacles. Here's a dead tree and a live tree for death saving throws. You know, they have their own flair. Everything has kind of a great old one feel to it. Like here's a haunted house in the background. I don't know how well you can see it through the broadcast. You know, this, if you see in the background, it looks like old script. So maybe if you printed this on yellow or tan paper, it would look really even more interesting. Which, by the way, don't be afraid to add character to your character sheet by doing that. Take a look at your spells. Nice little octopus here with a wizard hat on. You know, do you like this version? Does this seem a little bit more spooky, a little bit more thematic? Do you have a companion? Well, you know, crows, dead trees, other spoopy things. Maybe that's that could be a crow in profile with its wings down. Maybe that's a flyaway witch hat. I don't know. So yeah, add some character to your character sheets. Yeah, well, that's I mean, if you roll human and then you're from Wuxia or whatever one of the human origins are. Okay, the process begins again. Dun dun dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun. Let's go back up. Do we have a boy or a girl? Let's figure out. Something's happening either way if they get scared. That's a percentile die. 42. We have a female character. Eltron, thanks for offering the review of the class and its abilities. I only have a few aspects of the variant blacksmith ready, which may take the title of Warcrafter. I'll share a few of the details with you on Discord. I won't speak for King, and you could certainly share some details, though sharing a few details may not be as helpful as making... I mean, King will tell you otherwise, but then you can only give an opinion on a few details, and a class has it has 20 levels of content. So going for a few ideas may not be as... How do I want to put this? You can only get partial advice on partial details. And so let's say you bring up 3 things with King or myself or the rest of the channel or Discord. We can help you balance 3 things, but if that class offers 15 other things, how does that interact? How does that play? So just keep that in mind, Eltron. I'm not saying that to poo-poo your idea or to prevent you from sharing, but just keep that in mind. Oh, hey, Fanog has returned. I'm sorry. You're this kind of like cool, like, well, we're talking about inky stuff and horror campaigns, Fanog. You're like this like tentacle green, and you just sort of like slid into chat. Fanog has returned. Caden says I had coffee stains and all kinds of stuff to my character sheets. Do you add them purposely, Caden? Or does the character happen because you're drinking coffee by your character sheet and spits them out at a joke? Gargling some bitter and brine before I start breathing that fire. He sounds ready. That is true, Plunder Loot. There is an Unearthed Arcana class called the Artificer. And also a wizard school called... it just came out a couple months ago, I think. It was an Unearthed Arcana wizard school. It was like the School of Invention, I think. You can try that too. Alright, so we have a female character. This female character's race is, roll a d10, bada boom, 8. 8 is a half-orc. We have a female half-orc. Let's roll a 10 again. because there's not a sub-race for half-orcs, but by rolling odds or evens, we can help flavor their physical looks and or their personality by indicating, do they favor their human side or their orcish side more. 8. Also, oh, we got 2 8s. Evens, so we have a half-orc that favors orc. So we'll just put an FO after that. What is her alignment? Let's roll 2D percentiles and find out, right? We have, good, neutral, evil, lawful, neutral, chaotic. 2 axes, 2 rolls. 65 and 99. 65 is neutral. She is chaotic neutral. She is chaotic neutral as almost can be. Next up, let's determine her level with 1 percentile roll. 92. Oh, we're going to be making a big girl here. She is 16. Now, when we get to the actual campaign portion, that is discussing writing techniques in a story. The stats themselves, or the actual character levels, like, we're not going to have a level 5 and a level 16 necessarily go through the same campaign. That is more for us practicing building characters at various levels and considering what needs to go into them. This is going to give her 4 ability score increases, or ASIs, or stat bumps if you want to call it that. Let's determine if any of those are taken up by feats. Nope, they are all, she's pure power. She's investing in herself. Okay, now remember, bing, 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 we're going to roll on a 14 part table, and if we get 14, she's going to get the Curse of Strahd Haunted One background. You ready? Let's do it. 7. 7 is a Hermit. Hermits get a D8 to determine what kind of Hermit are you. And she is Hermit number 4. What does a number 4 Hermit do? I don't know, but we'll find out. Right now we have a placeholder. We'll come back when we want to talk pure personality. Right now we just need to throw out some numbers. Oh, she is medium-sized. 30 feet, 15 climb, 15 swim, 0 fly. Okay, what is her class? We got this nice big old golden button, and roll it. 12. We have a wizard. Interesting. Of the wizard, they have 8 different schools of magic. Let's find out which one she's getting. 3. Divination. So she can be like she's like a fortune teller specialty. I'm not going to name her that, Plunder Loot. Though I am going to chuckle at the joke. Fnog is just going to lurk for now, going to find a game to play. Hey, no problem, Fnog. Even if you're lurking, or, if you want to continue your ongoing RP, you're welcome to do so. And if you have comments, questions about the things that we're doing, throw your hat in the arena. Otherwise, sit back and enjoy. You can play something in the background, because I'll narrate as much as I can. All right, now we will give her some physical stats. Half-orcs start at 4 feet, 10 inches tall. We're going to add on 2d 10 inches. Roll it. We're adding on 11 inches. All right. 5'9" she is. We're going to take that same 11 and multiply it by 2d6 pounds to get her weight. All right, we're going to add 66 pounds. She is 206 pounds. 206. Now let's see how old she is. we're going to roll a percentile die. 13. That's not her age, but so she's not a child prodigy, though she is also a young adult. And she is going to weigh in at an age, right? Young adult is 2, between 16 and 25. That's a D10. Whoop. That's 2D10. 8. All right. So 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. All right, we are finished with the random number generation. Now, let's give her a background. Let's give her a personality. Oh, I'm sorry. We actually needed to roll a couple of these. We need 2d8s real quick to sneak in down here. 3 and an 8. And then 3d6 for the other parts of her background. 6, 3, and 4. There we go. That can go bye-bye. Is this fatal? I don't know. Oh, is that the game? I think I know what you're talking about. It's a game system that has unique mechanics that measure such a thing. Derek says, so giving Heart of Crown a try and realizing I'm very bad at the game. Thank you, Derek. So Derek, if you are back, we rolled up a female half-orc who favors her orcish side, a wizard with a specialty in divination. She is also a young adult at 23. 5'9", 206 pounds, hermit background, and we're just about to delve into her background. Here we go. She's going to be receiving training in medicine and in religion. She will get a tool proficiency in an herbalism kit. She will also get a language of her choice, meaning that she will get common, orcish, and question mark, question mark, question mark. Equipment. A scroll case with notes from your studies or prayers, a winter blanket, a set of common clothes. We do receive an herbalism kit, and 5 gold kind of just jingling around somewhere. Our life of seclusion is number 4. What does that mean? I retreated from society after a life-altering event. What is her life-altering event? What do we want it to be? It's one sentence that has a lot of potential. So let's hang on to it and we can decide that later. Though she retreated from society after a life-altering event. Civil, curious about the upcoming personality traits. This chaotic neutral hermit would merely be indifferent to the good-evil alignments, or would she be true chaotic, a pure agent of chaos? I worry this might lead to a problem player situation, though. Yeah, we'll find out, right? We're still casting our bones into the augury dish of who she is. Well, Plunder, there's still 3 more characters over the course of the week. All right, now, Derek, if you're still here, hermits do get the background feature of discovery. The quiet seclusion of your extended hermitage gave you access to a unique and powerful discovery. The exact nature of this revelation depends on the nature of your seclusion. It might be a great truth about the cosmos, the deities, the powerful beings of the outer planes, or the forces of nature. It could be a sight that no one else has ever seen. You might have uncovered a fact that has long been forgotten, or unearthed some relic of the past that could rewrite history. DuckTales woo-woo. It might be information that would be damaging to the people who or consigned you to exile, and hence the reason for your return to society. Work with your DM to determine the details of your discovery as its impact on, or as it has an impact on the campaign. Yeah, that's true, Plunder Loot. She maybe she chose to be a seer. Maybe that's the right. If she went into Hermitage, maybe, well, because wizards are more a study, so it's not like she's a sorcerer or something who gets these. Like, this is coming to her. I don't know. Maybe she's actually studying, and as a wizard, you could be a diviner and cast Fireball, but maybe she keeps seeing. Her eyes always catch the first letter in every word on a page, and so she's getting secret messages or something that have been left inside these study books. And so this divination is coming more naturally to her because she can see patterns everywhere. If that's the case, if she's seeing patterns in society, maybe she retreated to the chaotic area of nature, right? Because you're like, oh, the bricks are laid by man and there's a message in them, and going from there. Is she a conspiracy theorist? Maybe. So she went out into the wilds and maybe she found relief, or maybe she started seeing patterns in nature too. Let's continue the discovery of her personality. We can psychoanalyze her. Okay, her personality traits are 3 and 8. The leader of my community had something wise to say on every topic, and I am eager to share that wisdom. Okay, so she had a leader. This was a hermitage that it could have been another hermit in a cave, and there was 1 or 2 other students or something along those lines. 8. I am working on a grand philosophical theory and love sharing my ideas. So she does seem to be outgoing, despite being a hermit. There's nothing wrong with that. She retreated to a monastery in the mountains, or she found a guru in the jungle, or, I don't know, she took distance learning classes. Ideals, 6. Self-knowledge. If you know yourself, there's nothing left to know. So she is seeking self-knowledge, self-fulfillment. Maybe a kind of enlightenment or nirvana. And hey, doesn't that work well with divination? Bonds, 3. Whoop, I have to scroll for that. 3. I'm still seeking the enlightenment I pursued in my seclusion, and it still eludes me. Lewd. How lewd. So she has left her seclusion. Maybe she wasn't satisfied. Or she learned all she could learn in seclusion, and now she must complement everything she learned in seclusion by testing it in real life. Flaws, number 4. I let my need to win arguments overshadow friendships and harmony. So she'll tell you what's on her mind, and that is how it is. Like, I have, especially as a wizard, right? I've studied this. This is exactly why, the earth is not flat. And meanwhile, another person in the party's like, what? That's impossible. Everyone on the bottom would just fall off. Don't be stupid. Ah! Wizard smash! Self-knowledge also works with the chaotic philosophy, sort of like a postmodern knowing by not knowing kind of a thing. Yeah, maybe she's measuring both the things that she knows, and then she's making a shape of the things that she doesn't know by surrounding it with that which she does. That's a very good observation, Arugula Salad. Which, by the way, I have to ask, what's your favorite dressing? Make her similar to Buddha when he was still known as Siddhartha. Well, right, that would have been like a noble background. Also, her chaotic nature could very well reflect, you know, it's not a stereotypical, oh, I have to help, you know, midwife a baby into existence in order to offset me, like, killing a dude. Her chaotic nature could just reflect that she is completely, like, inside, in her mind, in her feelings, she is conflicted. She, I mean, is she tormented? Maybe we could argue that. She's actually like trying to actively work against this chaotic neutral nature. She wants to find stability, but her mind continually analyzes things. She's seeing patterns in places. She can divine what is to come, and that's not, which now that you know it has to be considered in the now, even though the now can't account for the future. And so she's just, you know, she's just so conflicted inside. She's a conflicted character. Oh, like a good balsamic vinaigrette arugula? I would agree. I'm not one for vinegar, but like a balsamic vinaigrette as a salad, um, as a salad dressing, it's good stuff. You want to come up and say hi to people? Come on. Come on. No, you just want to be down there? You just gonna be a jerk? Come on. Hey, what's going on up here? Nope. Oh well. You can lead a cat to a desk, right? Come on. Oh, no. Do you want to come up now? Come on. No half measures. Come on. Okay, there's her background. Now let's close that, go to races and see what she gets for being a half-orc. Her strength score will increase by 2. All right, well, we have a muscle wizard. And her con will increase by 1. We already have her size, her age. She does get 60 feet of dark vision, so we'll fill in the third eye up here. We do get proficiency in intimidation. We do get relentless endurance. As I'm filling this stuff in, if you need me to stop and explain what something is, because I'm just putting in the placeholder title, let me know. Relentless endurance and savage attacks. When you score a critical hit with a melee weapon attack, you can roll one of the weapon's damage dice one additional time and add it to the extra damage on a critical hit. There we go. That's what we get. Because after that are tieflings. Classes. Come down here to wizard. Ooh. Big ol' wizard here. Big ol' wizard. Right? If we were, I don't know, if it was a little less removed from a possible pilot here, how could we explain this? Well, look, she's so conflicted. Maybe she's always reading, trying to add to her knowledge. So her brain is so full because, look, she's 23 and she's a level 16 wizard. She's studied some books. She's seen some things. She's trying to hold, maybe at times, even as a challenge to herself, like dual senses of morality. But we're going to get everything in that blue box. Yay. Total, we get 16 hit die because we are level 16. Wizards get a plump D6, and we've used 0. We're not multi-class, so 0, 0, and 0 to fill that in. We get no armor proficiencies, And for weapons, Aruga. Aruga. I guess we're on a nickname basis now. But Arugula Salad, thank you very much for following along. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad that you've been enjoying yourself. You can lead a cat to a desk. That is a very good quote that I think would be very fun to use out of context. So we're going to get a very interesting array. Daggers, darts, slings, quarterstaffs, and light crossbows. I almost do want to make her a muscle wizard. I know Dex she'd be maybe getting a little bit more AC with. I don't know. Divination though has a really cool ability that we're going to get into. You get to save some D20 rolls to use later, so armor might not really even be important. And it'd be kind of fun if she just kind of went around and banged people with a quarterstaff. Just, you know, bah! Int and Wisdom are our saving throws, so we're going to click the little diamonds here to indicate that. No tool proficiencies, and we get to choose 2 skills. From Arcana, History, Insight, Investigation, Medicine, and Religion. Well, it just so happens that... it just so happens that we get those for being a hermit. So really, we're just looking at Arcana, History, Insight, and Investigation. Katniss Voldemort. Arcana, History, Insight, Investigation. We get 2 of those. What do you want? What do you want? I would almost say that by going Divination, she would be more perceptive. So something like Insight and Investigation. Arcana could be interesting if she's looking into the mysteries of things. She's going to have a high int anyway, but hey, let's stay true to her character, not just min-max her class. Darkwolf thinks that she should get Insight. She would be a very insightful woman. Plunderloot thinks Insight and Investigation. I'll put those down, and if any of you have counter-arguments, you're welcome to bring them up. She gets a quarterstaff or a dagger. Let's give her a big, bonky quarterstaff. She'd probably... Look, if you have a component pouch or an arcane focus, she'd probably take the component pouch. Right? You know, if you're more the diviner, right? You're doing these rituals to look into to scry. Oh, hey, women's intuition. There you go, Eltrion. I would make a counter argument that because of the special nature of the campaign, we give her an arcane focus that is the trinket, like we did for our last character. What are your thoughts on that? Do you want to give her a component pouch, and that's how she performs her magic, and she gets a trinket on the side? Or do you also want to give her an arcane focus and make that the trinket? Darkwolf wants her to have all the secret herbs and spices. Civil says one of the arcane focus choices is something like a crystal ball. It is, as a generic example, right? It's not really a magic item per se, but that's what allows her to cast her spells as to use a material component. Though in this case, it could be a crystal ball, or it could be the trinket that we'll give her, the gothic trinket, to make things kind of dark and spooky for this week's theme. Yeah, so that would be an arcane focus, plunder loot. And Darkwolf is thinking a pouch of the different secret herbs and spices for casting spells. Mechanically, there's not really a difference. There's really not too much of a difference. It would just be, do we want to give her a focus that in the focus could be the bag of bones, and we have a trinket. There's not really a right or wrong answer, but what we think would make sense for her. For her class, she does get Arcane Recovery, which allows her to get some spells back on a short rest. We will get our Arcane Tradition. And she's not quite... she's not... so that's what we get. Oh, alright, bye. Because honestly, wizards, they get a lot of their stuff just through the spells that they learn. They can learn almost every spell. That's a huge class feature itself. But she's not going to get Spell Mastery just yet. School of Abjuration, School of Conjuration. Here we go, School of Divination. Zero of 7 tonight. Oh, Derek. Oregano. I swear it's pencil shavings. Bubonic is thinking starting scores of 12 strength, 8 dex, 13 con, 15 int, 14 wisdom, and 10 charisma. All of you can give him a yay or a day, either as the emote or you could just say something otherwise. We are a Divination Savant. And we get Portents. Starting at second level, when you choose this school, glimpses of the future begin to press in on your awareness. When you finish a long rest, roll 2 d20s and record the numbers rolled. You can replace any attack roll, saving throw, or ability check made by you or a creature you can see with one of these foretelling rolls. You must choose to do so before the roll, and you can replace a roll in this way only once per turn. Each foretelling roll can be used only once. When you finish a long rest, you lose any unused. An underused class feature as well, unless there is the magic shop. I don't find many wizards fill out their books as much as the feature would imply, meaning you're better off with a Sorc. That's up to the campaign, the DM, or other wizards that you encounter, allowing each other to copy spells out of your books. Plunder Loot's thinking maybe a higher charisma because of the traits. I don't know. I mean, nothing in this glimpse is really saying that she is projecting charisma. She's definitely in the receiving end. She wants to receive others' charisma and wisdom and intelligence. You don't see her having a high dex if she feels threatened. Yeah, she might even just mage armor. Right? We make her a bonky wizard and we give her a high strength. She does get expert divination. Beginning at 6th level, casting divination spells comes so easily to you, it expends only a fraction of your spellcasting efforts. When you cast a divination spell of 2nd level or higher using a spell slot, you regain 1 expended spell slot. The slot you regain must be of a spell lower than the one you cast. She gets the Third Eye. Starting at 10th level, you can use your action to increase your powers of perception. When you do so, choose one of the following benefits, which lasts until you are incapacitated or until you take a short or long rest. You can't use the feature again until you finish a rest. You can get Dark Vision, Ethereal Sight, Greater Comprehension, and See Invisibility. That's really good, by the way. Diviners in D&D are really good wizards. And she does get Greater Portent, so we'll put Greater here. Starting at 14th level, the visions in your dreams intensify and paint a more accurate picture in your mind of what's to come. You roll 3 d20s for your portent feature rather than 2. Hey, Real Dorgrim, it's good to see you again. It's up to the DM to be sure that you make spells available for wizards. This gives more weight to spell scrolls and spell books as treasure. That is true. My meaning being the DM should do things to be sure class features remain important. Yes. Yes, though maybe not like in a ham-handed fashion, right? For instance, in actually, well, because I just finished Diablo 3 last night. If you're playing as a barbarian, you might get loot for the other classes, but you're gonna get barbarian loot because the game knows you're playing a barbarian. So as a DM, how difficult do you want it to be? Do you want to make sure that all your treasure parcels are dropping loot specifically for the party, or are you willing to just let loot be randomly dropped, or some scale? It's not an all or nothing kind of a thing. But Real Dorgrim does bring up a thoughtful point for you DMs out there. Civil, I agree, there can be kind of a pain finding the crossover spells if the party goes up against a bunch of clerics. Okay, well, we have... I mean, besides our spells, because that's a lot of what's going on here. Really, we just get our ASIs and more and more spells. We're 16th level. We're gonna get 5 cantrips. There we go. We are going to go 4, 3, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1. Almost have a 9th level spell slot. So close. So here, because we get a special side currency, we can record it here, right? We get 3 portent D20s. If you want to fill it in that way. Otherwise, you could put NA and X them out or something like that. It's up to you. This is a good reminder that you have them, because it's with your spellcasting stuff. Plunder Loot is thinking up some spells that she would have. Do you now you don't have to provide them, but do you have some reasons why she would take those 5? You're in a published campaign, and when you run in a book, is mostly stuff for non-magic using classes. It was not fun as a player. Yeah, oh yeah, your treasure parcels are mostly all random. However, I make sure I try to be sure to account for wizards. And you know what? A lot of times too, wizards might just go to a magic shop, or they might try and seek out a wizard's tower or a school of magic and do a lot of business there. Finding a random wizard's spell book, you could argue that should be very rare, because who would just leave it lying around unless it's with a corpse or something? Those scrolls, you can transfer spells out of scrolls if they're wizard spells. Sometimes you just do some downtime spending, right? Your fighter might be able to pick up the sword and go, oh, Kronk can smash right now harder. Meanwhile... Ludus the wizard or something can say, well, Ludus smash later, when Ludus will purchase 5 brand new spells that will specifically deal with what we're doing with right now. You think Thaumaturgy could be used for a nice distraction? She might could use it to gain advantage on an attack. Oh, is that because it's playing with fire or whatever? The lighting levels? By the way, I'm going to go back up, and as Bobicus was recommending, we put a 12 in Strength, 8 in Dex, 13 in Con, starting 15 in Int, Wisdom was 14, and Charisma was 10. Unless any of you take umbrage or perhaps have a qualm about this, we can use these as our starting stats. Prestidigitation and Mage Hand for assisting in her diviner rituals that are non-magical. The fire and ice for conflict. Ah. Probably a non-issue for stats. This will make a second caster with low dex AC. Yeah, but with things like when our first one can slot in mage armor, and she could probably learn it, or just learn the shield spell, or replace any dice rolls coming at her with 3d20 worth of other things. She might not even need AC. Because these characters might not really even know each other that well beforehand. So I get what you're saying as far as a party balance is going, Civil. Though for the approach right now, like, how has she grown up? What is her lifestyle alone? And then her pool of talents will spill out with the others. Not necessarily, Bubonic. There are differences between the two. I don't know, Thaumaturgy might not even be on the wizard spell list. I mean, because you have Druidcraft, Thaumaturgy, and Prestidigitation, which are the same thing but different. Hey, Pop's Corner, thank you very much. I appreciate that, host. Alright, if we stick with these stats, her con goes to a 14. And her strength goes to a 14 also. Yeah, the same thing but different. Druidcraft, Thaumaturgy, and Prestidigitation. Now, she is going to get 4 ASIs, or ability score improvements. That's +2 to 1 stat, or +1 to 2 stats. I presume we want to max out her intelligence. If so, number 1 goes here, number 2 goes here, and then number 3 would go here, and we can dump 1 point into something else. Pardon me. So we would get 3 points left over to put into this character as we're building her. Where do you want the 3 points to go? Yeah, I know, Civil, but I'll tell you what, that ability for a target to not be able to gain hit points is really good. Pops is thinking that maybe she's, that maybe she would increase her con a little bit. Now, we are making her a muscle wizard, too. Like, she can bonk people with the quarterstaff. We could put 2 points into strength and make her a little bit more bonky, also. Plunderloot is thinking strength. Dorgrim is saying that the... Why does the low dex bug you, Dorgrim? Let's say we increase strength and maybe we throw... I mean, yeah, maybe she's a strong person. And it won't give her another point, but it could increase her con. Now, if we do actually want physical effects, the strength score does help her in how far she can jump and other things. If we wanted to put our 3 points in here and give her a 17 strength, she can physically carry more weight, even though she doesn't get an ability bump. So there's nothing necessarily wrong with doing it this way either, because we're still giving her abilities even on a non-modifier basis. Well, with Mage Armor AC still 11, I think Stat Mod's not in front of me. Yeah, Civil's making a good point. We are making a Diviner, and keep in mind, Dorgrim, Mage Armor, we could give her the Shield spell, And she also gets to roll at the beginning of the day. She gets to roll 3d20 and hang on to them for later use. And she can replace certain rolls with that number instead. So she has a lot of passive or reactive abilities. Also, with a con score like this, she's going to have a high hit point pool. All right, if we have something like this, she has a 3, -1, 2, 5, 2, and 0. Our proficiency at 16th level is a +5. That would mean our passive perception is a 12, right? 10 plus our modifier, which she's not proficient, so it's going to be 2. Here, we can fill that in real quick. 2 plus 5 is 7, so she's going to get 7s here. Yeah, those divinations are good, but I'd personally save them for use for the party, but that's you. Hey, Derek. All right, cool. Well, you got the gist of this character as you are you're bringing your machinations together for us for the end of the week. So, have a good night, and talk to you later. And good luck at Heart of Crown as you continue to practice it. What else can we do? Oh, we have a 0, a 0, a 0, and a 0. Though we do get a nice 5 in Intimidation. We are going to get a 5 Nature, 5 History, 5 Arcana. A nice big old 10 Saving Throw. Investigation and Religion. Yeah, save the good ones for the good guys and the bad ones for the bad guys. See, yeah, you can use everything, right? Con, hey, without having Warcaster or something, that's not bad. You know, if you're getting hit and you need to sustain something. We're going to copy and paste -1. Don't look, Dorgrim, don't look. I know it's a bunch of -1s in Dex, but don't look. And for strength, 3 and 3. Who would expect like a swole wizard, right? No one expects a swole wizard. Yeah. No! Porque? Hit points. Oh, good golly gracious. She gets 6 at level 1 because you get your full hit die at level 1. Now we're going to do her other 15 levels beyond that. Whoop. 15 times half plus 1 is how I recommend it. It's nice. It's easy. It does favor your players, but it's a nice steady source of hit points. That way you don't hit 1, 1, 2, 3, 6, 1, 2, 2. Plus, now every level gets the con modifier. So we have 16 times 2. So here, we'll do our D&D math. 32 plus 60. We have a wizard with 98 hit points. And her initiative is -1 because she's very observant. She'll let everything play out because she knows how it'll go. With her quarterstaff, she's going to come in bonking with a +8. And it will deal a 1d6 plus 3 D8 if you two-hand it. And why wouldn't she want to two-hand it? She can two-hand it and cast the shield spell because she could still have a free hand to throw up in reaction. Unless it's an 8 and 10. Am I incorrect? Quarterstaff? No, it is a versatile D8. Yep. So she can come in with a smashing stick. And we can make it cool, too. Like, if she wants, like, a little, like, she wants, like, a little, like, I don't know, a snake dangling from the end, or, some sort of, like, Uncle from Jackie Chan's Adventure. He had, like, a dried lizard that he'd cast his spells over. Okay, so aside from the spells, she's pretty much finished. How many spells is she getting? Well, if she hasn't picked up anything else along the way, let's go back to Wizard. At first level, you know 3 cantrips, and we are also going to get 6 spells at level 1. So 5 cantrips. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Color spray could be interesting, right? If she's conflicting nature, she has a lot of interesting things going on inside her noggin. If I didn't say it all right. Must teach brain to not min-max, says Dorgrim. Must reject the simultaneous defense and offensive stat and trust in the class and the player. I'm just having fun. I'm not trying to tease you. Oh, I'm sorry. We get a few numbers here. 8 plus 5 is 13. We have an 18 DC to resist. And her spell attack is going to be plus 10. 18 and 10. 18. 10. We'll put a plus to indicate. Oh, what were these called? What were we calling them? Portent D20. We get 3 of them, and she's used 0. Spellcasting ability is Int. And we're going Wizard. A Wizard is just a little lizard. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6. To prepare, okay, to do so, choose a number equal to your int modifier plus wizard level. So we can prepare 21. Right, because we can have in our book every spell. Though you can only have so many prepared per day. Each time you gain a wizard level, you can add 2 wizard spells of your choice to your spell book. Each of these spells must be of a level for which you have spell slots, as shown on the wizard table. On your adventures, you might find other spells you can add to your spell book. Alright. So we are going to get at level 2. Level 2. And then at level 3, if you see here, now all of a sudden we've broken into second level. So we can go level 3, level 3, and it's going to go like this because, as you can see, we're creeping up here. So 3 and 4, so we're going to get 2 more here. Now, it doesn't have to stack like this. If you want to have all your level 3 and 4, so you've caught them all, you've caught every Spellmon in level 1, you can do that during your natural progression, let alone going back and learning spells in your spell book or writing spells. If we're doing things by not going back, this is the natural spell progression that you'll see. Pure Skills, yes, I do really own a game store. Thank you for asking. Tease away, you're getting my jokes, no problem. Yeah. I'm glad that I have a passive insight to be able to read into that. Yep, you are correct, Civil Hermit. We're going to get 4 hereafter. Now, I write it out this way. That way you know at which level you learned that spell. And if your DM ever has a question about it, then you can show her or him, like, no, look, it's legit. This is what I took along the way. You gonna come up? Oh, you are. Yay, we get cat number 2 tonight. Are we gonna get all 3 of you? That's the question. Oh, do we not mention her? Okay. Oh, level 8. We don't want to make Sophie jealous. Okay. I know this game. 8, 9, 9, 10, 10, 11, 11, 12, 12, 13, 13, 14, 14, 15, 15, 16, 16. Now, especially when you get to the higher level slots and you have 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4. Are you going to want to take 4? Maybe. Maybe you want variety. You want a full utility of that one slot. That is completely up to you. Again, if you want to take your 2 freebie spells per level at level 10 and you want to dump them into 1, because you can cast level 1 spells, well, some of them anyway, through a level 8 or 9 slot, you can certainly do that. A level 1 spell you're casting at level 9 is a level 9 spell. So you're getting a ton of level 9 spells. There's just a frequency at which you can cast at that actual level. So if we wanted to, as we're building her spell book, look, her spell book is also, by the way, going to reflect her adventure, her journey. Why did she take these spells? You know, it's consider it like forensic evidence. If we found her spell book lying around, or she was clutching it as a skeleton, and we look, why did she learn that spell? When did she learn that spell? That's evidence of what was going on in her life at that point in time. And so we can swap these around. For intents and purposes, the character is complete, right? Because we could slot in whatever we want for spells. If you want to go that extra route, and actually, and actually fill them in to tell her story, because you get a harder story you could say the same with sorcerers, because their body would adapt to the situation. But tell a story with your character and the spells. Kind of like what Dorgrim was joking about. You're like, well, look, if you're a wizard, you should take this spell, and this spell, because they're the best DPR of any spell in that slot. And you have to make sure that all wizards should have these 3 utility spells. Are they good spells? Yes. Do you have to take them as a wizard? Hell no. Not at all. Build a janky wizard up here that doesn't have a high dex and let your spells reflect the fact that, yes, you realize that, I don't know, maybe she has like arthritis, or maybe she's just not quick. She's strong, right? She's strong. She can hit, but her muscles are getting in the way of her of her quickness or something like that. And so instead, she's learning to use the quickness of her mind to make up for that. And so supplement herself with the spells. Tell a story. Her spell book is a story book also. Oh, well, Pure Skills, it has been a very interesting adventure. I could probably even get into, if any of you want to know the origin story of how is it that a dude like me can own a game store. I'm willing to tell that story, not as a part of a character creation here, but I will need to take a break anyway in a little bit, another break. And if you're interested in hearing it, maybe I can tell that in part 3. By the way, Pure Skills, or rather, I'll address you, Pure, but for those of you who might have just come in, Pure Skills found our channel here because last night I was streaming Diablo 3 to try and finish Act 5 and to finish up that game. And so Pure came in, and he was talking a bit about his own games that he enjoys, and the fact that he also wants to be a streamer. And he hasn't played D&D before. Yet Pure has gone out of his or her way to join us here in a complete nerd out as we're sitting effectively at a table in a game store together having a conversation and, you know, opening his or her mind up to D&D or tabletop games and role-playing. So Pure, that's really awesome of you to do, and I appreciate you doing that. You know, even if it might seem overwhelming, like you might be looking at this and you're going, whoa, okay, hang on, what's happening? And that's fine. But I appreciate you and the others who are maybe new here or new to D&D for coming along the journey with us and learning, asking questions, and commenting, being a part of what we're doing in chat. Plus, I mean, you get an occasional cat, and who can argue against that? Because really, they're the stars of the show. They release me and my attention to you all. Except in cases like this where I think she just wants me to remember that she's here. She really loves her forehead touched. And she is just purring up a storm right now. Yeah. Yep, and you got this cute little notch in your ear? Yeah. Don't let her know I told you, but her fur is actually just really dark brown. It's not really black. Shh. Oh, what beautiful tuxedo coloring you have. My, what a vivid black and white fur you have. And Dorgrim says the sorcerer from the movie Dragon Slayer comes to mind. That I've heard of that. I don't think I've seen it though, or if so, I don't remember much of it. Dorgrim. So anyway, we can play with all these. See, now that this is loaded in, if we do it this way, we can see what's available, like maximum, well, or a minimum, right? But if we wanted to then take extra spells, we could just go. We'll take this level 16 and Control X, and we'll drop it in 3. We'll take the other 16, Control X, and Control V it. Or I'm sorry, in level 2. We'll Control V it in 4. So everything is still there, but we'll build her spell book as much as we want with what she thinks she's going to use. In fact, I don't know. If we decide that level 5 is just a horrible dead zone for wizard spells for this character, we don't have to take any spells in level 5. We'll have a slot so we can cast something at that power, but maybe there's only one spell we really want there, and everything else we'll scatter it to where we do want spells. Eltrion, that cat had an expression that looked like she was waiting for you to start. Yeah, she's like 13 years old. Her name is Sophie, or I mean, you can call her Miss Sophie. She is the grand dame of the house. She loves being on people, and she loves receiving affection. She's a very good lap cat. And she likes her forehead touched. And if you're not touching her forehead, she'll do what she's doing now. And while I am patting her butt, she's rubbing her forehead on my hand. Just don't show him the Eye of Sauron, okay? That's all I ask. Probably high enough level to just plug in every divination school. That could be, yeah, we could do that too, Hermit. Here, we can even take a quick peek. I'm probably going to end up taking a break before we fill in all of this stuff. Wizard. More than half a page. Half a page. All of these cantrips. Woo. She gets 5 of them, too. Mage Hand, Mending, Message, Minor Illusion, Poison Spray, Prestidigitation, Ray of Frost, Shocking Grasp, True Strike. Yeah, I do kind of like Plunder Loot's idea, maybe giving her a duality of some kind. Now, Fire and ice do seem very like that's a good standard go-to. So we could give her Ray of Frost and Firebolt. We could say something even like if we wanted to really kind of mix it up and be unexpected, right? We have an unexpected wizard. We have a half-orc wizard, chaotic neutral, and she is super strength. Maybe she would take Shocking Grasp, right? She's a hands-on person. She's strength. I don't think she's afraid to get close. She has hit points for days for a wizard. And she has the strength. So maybe she'd take Shocking Grasp, which is electricity. And then maybe she'd take, you know, if electricity, you know, makes people twitch and lively and can restart a heart, maybe the opposite of that is Chill Touch, which then prevents, it deals damage and it prevents people from regaining hit points. It also looks like a hand. We could do, let's see, Acid Splash and Poison Spray. It's almost like two sides of the same coin, right? Only it's like, so what's the difference between Poison Spray and Acid Splash? You know, an acid and a poison, you know, a lot of times they seem almost the same thing. So we can really, yeah, elevator butt. By the way, hi again, Delcorin. Fanog says, I had a thought, would it be possible to have a campaign where the characters are competing for some reward, like ascending to godhood, perhaps? Or do they typically need to work together? Well, we kind of had a campaign of that theme last week with the band that was trying to attain regional known status and bring people together. Is it godhood? No, but it is definitely a high tier of fame and income and notoriety. As for working together, if you're running a cooperative storytelling game, it is very difficult as a DM, Fanog, to entertain. Let's say we have 5 people sitting at the table. I'm your DM, you're Fanog, and then we have 4 other people. Just, we have Delcorin, Civil, Dorgrim, and Pure Skills sitting at the table too. You want to attain godhood, and let's say you want to become the god of death. And Pure Skills says, well, I want to be the god of life and, you know, fertility and, you know, in springtime and whatever. Well, hey, Dorgrim's in on this. How do I, as the DM, offer you a compelling way for you to reach that level while also including the others, especially if I have to, you know, take you on your own adventure or give you your own specific consideration as a player or as a PC and keep all 4 other people entertained. Not that, I don't know, a god of life and death can't get along in some circumstance, but then when we have 3 other gods that are trying to do things of a similar nature, how do you juggle your players and your PCs in order to bring them to that super refined point, while keeping everyone at the table from starting to get their phones out and going, oh, well, you know what? Just tell me when you're done. Yeah, look at that. Yeah. Huh? Roll? Oh, that wasn't my roll? That was your... Okay. Hey, do we have any more pizza left? Do you mind if I just, like, step out? Like, it sounds like you guys are going to be busy for a while. In fact, you know what? I just might call it early. Like, if you need me, text me. I promise I won't fudge my roll, but if you need me to roll something, let me know. Because that kind of stuff can happen. You know, especially if you have players that are giving up their time to sit at your table. How can you include them? Like, unless they know beforehand that you're doing, like, single sessions or something along those lines. If they're coming and expecting a game of some kind to be social and involved, it's a consideration. I can't tell you how to walk that path. Every game and every set of players is going to be different. I can only tell you things to watch out for, things to consider as you try and navigate that path, because maybe you do. Divination school spells by level coming at me. True Strike. Comp languages. Detect magic. Identify. Detect thoughts. Locate objects. See invisibility. Clairvoyance. Tongues. Arcane Eye. Locate creature. Contact other plane. Legend. Ooh, Legend Lore is a fun one. Oh, and wow, 5 is not a dead level at all. 5 you get juicy stuff. Is level 5 is that Rary's telepathic bond? Pardon. Yeah, Delcorin, wake me when the spotlight hog is sufficiently appeased. I have ideas on how that could be done, but I was just curious about... If your players are fine with it, you as a DM should get the consent of the players before you start a campaign like that. Or if you're only going to do it in, I don't know, as a dream sequence or something, I don't know. You should talk to your players and say, is it alright if you guys beat each other up? And if one of you kills the other one. Yep, Dorgrim got to it. Oh, it is Rary's. Civil, by the way, was putting in some legwork here while I was lecturing. So shame on me. Alright, so for sure, so True Strike should be one. If she's gonna take full divination, because why not? She can get them cheaper and such. She is a very curious girl. Very curious girl. Arcane Eye is a fun spell. A little creepy, but a lot of fun. Wait, we have Civil, and looking at it, you have Tongues as a level 3 spell and Tongues as a level 6 spell. Was something else supposed to go in level 6? Hey, Illumines! You are somewhat seeing Strahd. In fact, while we're addressing the spells here, we are going to be running a horror-themed campaign this week. And we're going to have a special a guest DM. Oh, True Seeing. Got it. So we have rolled up our first 2 characters of the 5 we're going to generate. We have a Fey Patron Blade Pact Warlock, male Blue Dragonborn, and we have a female Half-Orc Divination Wizard. Who also needs a name, by the way. She deserves a name by this point. Now, something special that we're doing is we are going over to Curse of Strahd in order to give them a Gothic trinket as either a spell focus or something interesting or compelling for them to hold on to. And there are 13 backgrounds in the PHB. I will roll a D14 on our dice roller down here. If it's 14, they will get the Haunted One background out of Curse of Strahd. If we make 4 characters that do, none of them get that, the 5th character will for sure have that as his or her background. That way one of them can. And we're exploring a little bit of Splat Book. Let's look at her trinket. This is a D100. 62. A bouquet of funerary flowers that always looks and smells fresh. Something to think about. Who did they belong to? Was it a mentor? Was it a friend? A family member? Did she just find it? Maybe she, I don't know, in her comings and goings to buy spells or acquire spells or something, she bought it and is studying it. Maybe they're fresh because they're flowers that she knows will wind up on her own grave, and they'll only wilt after they die, or after she dies, and they've been tossed on her grave. So they're actually like future flowers held in time, kind of a thing. So that is her trinket. Now we are going to give her a madness. We're going to give her a madness that can trigger under some effect that would play into the type of person that we've generated her to be, right? She's a 3-dimensional character. She has a history. She has compelling reasons to go from there. Are you using the DMG optional attribute sanity for these characters? Sanity, not necessarily. I can talk to Derek if he wants to. I was kind of summing things up, Dorgrim, by giving them a long-term madness that will trigger on if a certain event happens. For instance, as we were making Setmet here, the random madness he got was the character experiences uncontrollable tremors or tics, which impose disadvantage on attack rolls, ability checks, and saving throws that involve strength or dex. So he's kind of a coward, and he's a knight, but he's a very social, like he's a face knight. And so we said, all right, this will trigger on a character if he takes half or more HP damage from a melee source during the course of a combat. Since he's a backliner, right? He's a pew-pew warlock. He'll conjure distance weapons, like a halberd or something, and fight from behind someone else. So her madness, and so like sanity can be a thing that you can use that is in the DMG. I was just making it more of a... like all of these are deep-seated fears or parts of their personality coming to fruition, and the storytelling is coming into what could trigger that over the course of an adventure. You're still studying Tomb of Annihilation and Tomb of Horrors. Oh, well, those are two very what are you... Please stop pressing buttons on my keyboard. She wants to put her forehead on the keyboard. Am I not merciful? Here. Kalima. 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 There we go. I mean, your hand's about your head's about the size of a human heart. There, now she's happy. I just have one finger on her forehead. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I actually needed that. Let's roll it. Percentile. 99. The character falls unconscious. No amount of jostling or damage can wake the character. Dorgrim says, OMG, I was working on the supply and travel for almost 4 hours today, only to realize that the party ranger would cancel all the prep I did. Yeah, that's why knowing things like their backgrounds or even some spells that they're taking, yeah, if you're like, oh, well, where are we going to find food or water? No. Now, just because they're in a jungle, by the way, doesn't mean that there's always food. Like, there could be berries and frogs, but they're poisonous. There could be, like, some water, maybe not enough for everyone. Just because it's a jungle doesn't mean that it's survivable. That madness after a particularly disturbing... Yeah, actually, Hermit, you were thinking what I was thinking. If something happens on her divination, maybe if she uses... let's see, would we want to link it to... See, now, this is where we have to be considerate of if you were playing this character. What if we said that you would fall unconscious if you use all 3 of your portents? Or it could be... Please don't touch my keyboard with your forehead. Thank you. You know, in that case, well, then you're just saying that, look, I really only have 2 instead of 3. It could be if you use a, I don't know, if you roll a 20 on a portent and you use the 20 in some fashion, or a 1 or something. Or it could just be you roll a 1 on a portent. But then again, you're out for 1d10. I mean, you could be out for a while. So I like these effects. I just don't like the like, because this is more just like a personality flaw. I might as well roll 2 flaws, like 1 here and 1 on the chart. I like stuff like this. Does it have to be 1d10 hours or times 10 hours? Or could it just be 1d10 hours? We can play with it. We can modify it. Go with what you think would be appropriate for the setting. Now, we don't really have players, but so we're presuming that they're consenting to the conditions we're giving them. But we should still go through that extra step and say, well, what would our players think if we propose something like this? Well, there's also never enough good water. You could have salt water, poison water, mud water, water filled with leeches. You know, it could be... There's a lot of things. Like, potable, drinkable water is something that is a lot more scarce. Yeah, indefinites, I think we're supposed to be additional flaws. So what... We have this diviner, okay? Here's her personality. The leader of my community had something wise to say on every topic, and I am eager to share that wisdom. I'm working on a grand philosophical theory and love sharing my ideas. She explores self-knowledge. If you know yourself, there's nothing left to know. I'm still seeking the enlightenment I pursued. Whoop, misspelling. In my seclusion, and it still eludes me. I let my need to win arguments overshadow friendships and harmony. Now, she is chaotic neutral, and that doesn't necessarily mean she goes like crazy wackadoodle in public. As we're building her, as we're discussing her, this is more she carries so many thoughts, so many conflictions in her mind. Look, she's only 23 years old, and as we rolled her, she's a level 16 wizard. She has a lot of stuff going on up here. That doesn't mean she can't be calm and have a demeanor, but she has so many different thoughts. So what could shut her brain down into like a fugue state? As a diviner, as a wizard, as someone who, by the way, her hermit background. If we come back here, scroll down, caution it's going to flash. Number 4, I retreated from society after a life-altering event. Do we want her unconsciousness to fall into whatever this life-altering event is? I don't know. If she sees someone get stabbed to death because it was a murder, and she's like, oh, I got to get away and you know, retreat from the savages of society or something. It could be something like that. Now, it shouldn't be something common, right? You know, like, oh, I see a mouse and I live in the woods. But what is something like, again, here's our backliner warlock. If he takes half or more hit point damage, and he has decent hit points, right? And he can cast mage armor. That's one of his invocations. But if he takes half or more over the course of a battle of melee damage, not even just damage, then he starts getting tremors because he starts doubting himself. He's like, this is my own blood. No one makes me bleed my own blood. So what do you think could trigger her unconsciousness? Could it be... it could be damage. It could be related to spells or spell use. I don't know. If she casts 3 spells of the same school in succession without any other schools, then she shuts down because her brain just overloaded on divination or evocation. She's a diviner, but that doesn't mean she can't cast 3 fireballs in a row. Somewhat, Bobicus. Somewhat. These are flaws in the character that only arise under certain conditions of high pressure or stress or physical injury. They'll only manifest in certain ways. So it is something that will happen, that they're carrying for their lifetime, but it has a particular trigger to cause it to happen. One that's at its most common is going to be uncommon. But really, it should be more on the rare side. Something that's spice. It might only come up two times in a campaign. I don't know. But it's a little bit of an added extra challenge. If you were playing this wizard and I said, if you cast three spells in a row of the same school, that would cause you to, black out. Well, suddenly, you might not be spamming Fireball all the time. I don't know. Okay, so she has a favorite form of long-term madness to experience. Yeah. Hermit is throwing out a name possibility of Klaara Tolinmat. No, that's not silly. In order to help accentuate... Yeah, for Klaara T. In order to help accentuate horror, you do need comic relief. You also need times of rest in order to get your fight or flight down, in order to be able to laugh at something before you can cry at something. So what do you think would cause her to fall unconscious for 1d10 hours if she overloads on something, right? For him, it was half hit points or more from melee damage in a battle. And for her, it's, I don't know, maybe she rolls 3d20 and on here. Well, again, I'd want to be careful about using the portents because that's a very big part of the character. But it could be battle related, it could be support related, it could be, if you even want to say if she casts the same spell twice, that's a non-cantrip maybe, that causes mental stress. I don't know. You could even say something like, you'll give her a fourth portent dice. If she goes through the 3 and she wants one more, she can get it, but she'll fall unconscious as per here. So is that juice worth the squeeze? If I can save my comrade from a big hit, and I can impose that other d20 roll instead, is it worth me falling unconscious for 1 to 10 hours? I mean, this character will get a free long rest out of it, but she'll be baggage for that time. Anytime she casts a spell on a creature that has resistance to that type of magic. No, I agree, Bobicus. I'm not married to one idea or the next. I'm throwing things out there, and if it's a good or a bad idea, you can call it out as such. Maybe instead of a particular creature, it would be more like a family of creatures, maybe an uncommon one. She had a bad experience, and that's what caused her to go into her hermitage because of, I don't know, aberrations. So aberrations may show up in the campaign, right? As the DM, we can control that. So aberrations may show up, and if she sees an aberration, maybe she passes out. Maybe something a little bit more active. Your dungeon master, she casts a spell on a creature. I don't know if the resistance alone would be enough to send her to be unconscious for up to 10 hours. It could very well be environmental. I mean, for the other character, it was in an environment of combat. If she sees something, if something she foresees comes out vastly different. Thematically, I get what you're saying, Dark Wolf, although I think that might be a little difficult to do. Right, right? If you're casting divination magic, a lot of it is you're seeking the truth, and the DM is compelled to provide some kind of a true answer. And so I would be lying to you in your spells then, perhaps. Unless you want to go for some sort of like a fate versus free will argument. I don't know. Whenever she eats gluten, she passes out for 10 hours, so she has to be gluten-free. And then as a DM, you can add the sound of ravens cawing to add certain scenes. Oh, geez, Caden's spending 2K here to go up against Lulth. Disadvantage with a +6. Oh, no, even with advantage, Lulth drags off Caden to do things that I cannot discuss on a PG-13 channel. Yeah, horrible. What about her trinket? What did we give her? A bouquet? A bouquet of funerary flowers that always looks and smells fresh. She's not using that as an arcane focus, so it's just something she has. Plunder Loot said something about actually giving her like an augury dish and dice to throw. What if it was something like the player has to roll, I don't know, 3d6 every time they cast a particular spell, maybe divination or something, because we gave her every divination spell there is, and if it comes back as let's see, so we have 18 sides. So it's almost like a d20. Every side of a d20 is 5%, so it's probably like 7.5%. So if she rolls a 16 or higher in her augury dice to cast her spell, so that's a 556, 566, or a 666 on her dice. If she rolls that, then she will fall into this fugue state. I don't know. What do you think of that? It gives the player, it's beyond the player's control, and it's still thematic for the character. We have to presume with meta knowledge that a player is willing to sign up for a creepy campaign with the foreknowledge that they are going to have some kind of a triggered madness that will probably happen over the course of the campaign at some point in time or several times. Satsep Met up here has his own, and if she needs to roll 3d6 with every divination spell, and is looking for something along those lines, then does something like that sound interesting? Maybe she rolls a 1 at any point, or every few ones. A 1 perhaps on a spell attack, but she also doesn't have a lot of... she could have a ton of attack spells. But I think it should be something similar but different than just that, than just a d20 roll. Right? Let's make it personal for the character. Oh, nice, Caden. Object dependency if she ever loses her spell book. Oh, so if her spell book is ever like out of her possession for more than 10 minutes or something, that could very well be. Hermit, that may not be a bad idea, right? She'd keep it close to her at all times. Like, if she has to be in physical possession of it, like her fingers have to be touching it, it's like a compulsion. Maybe because the book is what lets her get the ideas out of her mind, And so the book brings her comfort by having, because she knows if she is starting to fill up on ideas, she can write in the book. Now, if we did something like that, though, it would be... The consideration is that character will never let that book go. And, you know, I can throw a fireball, and will the spell book survive? Well, if the spell book is a possession, it will go with her or not. That would mean that I, as a DM, am trying to deliberately attack the spell book, sunder it, steal it, knock it out of her hands, or something along those lines. So that is... It's not just me being an environmental effect. That could be me very... Like, with our other character here, yeah, I could send a monster and just go straight beat on him. But if he's carrying himself as a backliner, if he's trying to dodge and move away and always attack from the rear, that's shared custody of the flaw between myself and between the character. I think in that case, where if it's a game of keep away from the DM, I'm the DM and I have ultimate power, I could just snatch the book away if I really want to. The shared custody doesn't exist. So, well, it's something to think about. I'll tell you what, I got to get up and take another break. I'll probably be gone for about 10 minutes or so. Was a situation where she lost someone before and seeing a teammate go. Oh, so, okay, yeah. In that case, if it is a teammate goes unconscious, something like that, yeah, maybe that makes her faint. That could also inspire why she's such a diviner, right? She wants to see what's coming ahead. She wants to try and prevent this kind of thing from happening. And of course, look, if I'm being a DM, I'm going to give you challenging encounters or traps that might put you in that situation. So that could be the case where if a player goes unconscious or, you know, whatever, like we can break it down further, but that might not be a bad one, Eltreon, right? It's shared agency between the player and the DM. That might not be a bad one. Do you all like that idea too? Bobicus? Darkwolf? Civil Hermit? Or comes back from being unconscious? Would that be as traumatic as watching someone possibly die? Well, Civil Hermit's giving the thumbs up. Because I kind of get what you're talking about, your Dungeon Master. Though, if we as characters are conscious of healing magic, I would probably take comfort that healing magic was cast on someone. And so having the fainting occur when they come back might not be... It might not be the same, if you get what I'm saying. But if someone falls unconscious, that could be, oh, they've died. Because for all you know, if they don't get any healing or they're failing death saving throws, they are dead, right? If someone hits 0 and they start bleeding out, they're effectively dead. It's just none of us know that they're dead yet. Oh, so it might trigger a fear of undead. Well, I mean, so that's getting into then, it's not even just coming back from unconsciousness. We're just talking about she doesn't like undead things. And that's the deeper cause. In that case, she'd just faint if she saw a skeleton, I think. Even if that's the case, it still is around her. Like, she's aware of it. Now, unless you're saying that... Now, here's what we could do. If healing magic is used on her... she faints. Maybe something like that is an angle that we could take. Now, she... As a wizard, look, she doesn't have a high AC. In fact, her AC is 9. She can boost that up with magic. She also has a fat hit point pool for a wizard. Also, yes, she can bonk people. You know, maybe she front lines, maybe she doesn't, because she could take the shield spell, she could take mage armor, etc. If healing magic is used on her instead of her using her hit dice, which means if we roll a bard, that's fine, right? That's a healing song, and you use your hit dice to naturally heal. I don't know. That seems kind of. Well, I'll tell you what. I have to take a break. I will let you all think about it. I'm going to be gone for about 10 minutes or so. So you have time to talk it out and think, okay? I'll be back in about 10 minutes, and we'll go from there, okay? See ya in a little bit.